Hey, oh, it's me again. So it's time. We did another review. This time again, it was me against Verdict, but I really wasn't gonna do another video, but I kind of wanted to because some people were saying that I was kind of harsh or mean to Verdict on the last review. Um, if it came across like that, I apologize. That's not what I want to be, but I am trying to teach him to be better than he is. So he can actually beat me because this is like the first person that I've seen that has actually any raw talent that could actually potentially beat me once he trained up a bit. And yesterday, his game totally transformed. He understood finally that after playing me for a while, he's adapted and changed his style to match the person he's playing. And so he has mastered. He knows now. He knows now how to master chess. You've got to adapt your play to the person that you're playing against. And now he's just got to be able to understand chess, and that's once he combines understanding with mastering, he'll win every single time. It's all about it's knowing how to beat the person off the board as well as it is about the position. If you know the person, if you get to know the person, you can beat them before you even sit down at the board. So here we go. Let's go straight into it. He does the English opening, which I was pleasantly surprised. This is an okay variation. It's a King's Knight variation for the English. This wasn't exactly a huge mistake, but it was not the best that he could have done. When you do the English opening, it is imperative that white keeps the black squared bishop on the board, because when you're opening up the C pawn, the squares that become extremely potentially weak are your dark squares. With your bishop the only piece that's able to travel on them and protect them, that's why you need to do it. I understand why he was doing this. He was trying to offer up the exchange. One way to stop the attack is prevention. But there was no way I was going to swap bishops off. Again, that's something that experience would teach him. I would just go ahead and develop my position. That's also good. This is going back towards why this perhaps wasn't the best move for white. The main square, if you haven't noticed, that is extremely vulnerable and dangerous for white is if black is allowed to get a knight to this square on d4. So if he had put the bishop to b2 instead, that would have been just one more piece with a pawn, and then you're actually protecting the square. Unmanned squares are actually just as important as squares with pieces on them. You've got to protect them and you've got to guard them. Otherwise, you could be letting yourself in for a huge headache. And in fact, that's what happens. White feels the pressure of my one piece and it doesn't do anything. So I go ahead and put the bishop there. I'm kind of hoping to, the point of this is hoping that he will want to go after that bishop to be attacked. And he's going ahead and he actually fell for it. But he's doing what he calls the dragon teeth, also known as the stonewall. I go ahead and get my other knight out. I might as well develop. And he pushes a pawn up. This was a second minor mistake because, again, look, before you move, you got to look at what you're going to leave behind. That pawn was guarding that square, and now nothing is guarding that square. And if I got a piece to that square, nothing, no pawn can push it away. And it kind of, me putting my bishop to where it is on f5 did exactly what I wanted it to. Got him to push his pawn forward. So I'll go ahead and put it back. That was a strange move. It wasn't particularly bad. Again, a better move probably would have been f3, knight f3, or bishop e2. You've really got to develop. You have to develop your pieces early and fast. Although when he put the pawn to e3, even though his bishop hadn't moved, it became a lot more active. It had a lot of potential, so that was good. Yeah, so that was another reason why knight to f3 would have been better, because it would have stopped. It would have been another piece to guard that square. Instead of h3, it would have guarded the d4 square, and it would have stopped the knight from coming there. And now, just look. We got a knight in the center of the board, attacking e2, c2. We're attacking b3. We're guarding b5, c6, e6, f5, and f3. All those squares just from one piece in the middle of the board. And so yeah, this guy's been learning or been watching my game. Most people would try to castle, get in a good position like this, but you know that isn't gonna work for me. He's doing his actual, what he calls dragon teeth, or is actually one of the stone wall. Now, this is what made me think, because I'm not holding back here. I am actually playing. I'm actually playing to my full strength to beat him, like he wants to. But right now, there is no way to attack him. There is no way for black to get behind white's defense. The only potential weakness right now is the dark squares. They're extremely weak. It's like h4, g3, and f2. Same as d2, e3, f4, and I'm looking at d4, c3, b2. All those squares don't have pawns protecting them, and they don't have pawns that can protect them. They have pieces behind them, but there was no way to actually get behind. So there was nothing for me to do. If I try to force the situation, if I try to push, I could end up hurting myself. And I actually applauded him for this, because this is good, because normally I play on instinct from experience. I don't really have to think too much. This made me think, because if I made the wrong move, I could end up hurting myself. So I go ahead and just play a time move. Black, I'm just moving the piece. I'm just trying to improve my position, not attack. And I was just, to be honest, thinking about getting the knight over to c5, just so I have another piece attacking this and that one. His queen is protecting all three pawns, and his bishop and his knight. I was thinking about trying to do something like overload the defenders, Like the one piece is having to guard and protect all 3 pawns. Now, if there was a way that I could take one of these pawns, the defender had to go there and take the other, I'm just give the defenders too much work to do. That never materialized, but that's the line of thinking I was doing. That was an actual mistake. There was actually nothing to stop me taking that pawn, but I didn't really notice it, or I didn't think about it, to be honest, and I went ahead and did the knight. This was White's first major mistake of the game, because it is absolutely imperative that you keep that dark squared bishop on the board, just to protect those squares. And you'll see, as soon as I take the bishop off, his dark colored squares become extremely vulnerable and look very, very weak and open. And if he had that bishop on still, it would still look, hey Mochi. So I took the bishop, and now I noticed it. Suddenly, the dark squares look extremely weak because that dark squared bishop is gone. Even if that bishop was still sitting on its home square, C1, it would look a little bit better than it does now for White. Nothing can take it. Nothing can block the check. The king would have to move. And it's okay, you're thinking, the king can just go to e2. Oh no, it can't. That knight's there. Again, knights can be annoying. He goes ahead and take, which was a second mistake, because he just goes down a piece. King comes to d2, and it doesn't lead to mate, but it looks very, very close. Because I was, if king, I was thinking about king here, and if he went back, I would come here. And then if he put his queen there, I would do check, but that's kind of bad, but it just looks good. It doesn't lead to mate, but that's the kind of line I was thinking about. So he comes forward with his king, and it looks like he's attacking my knight, but he actually isn't, because it's protected twice with the pawns. Just making sure I'm still recording. So currently his position is open. His game is a lot better in this. His he made a couple of bad mistakes, but overall his game has extremely improved. His pawns are together. He isn't sitting back. He's trying to attack. He's getting his pieces open more, so they have possibilities. It's the potential that is more dangerous. And just because most people, that is the benefit of doing out of the book plays. Everyone would have expected you to try and castle and play safe, but throwing your pawns forward, going for the attack, can actually win and throw people into panic and chaos. And during that time of panic and chaos is when you can capitalize. You can actually force home a win that normally people wouldn't be able to get away with. But if you allow them time to think and relax and take a breath, then they'll see that there's actually no threat at all. But for a moment, it appears as there are. That's the point of the chaos. That's the point of the Kingside Blitz. It's just to put your opponent into a panic. That was a good move. I mean, personally, I would have I would have put it to E2 or G2, but that's just as good as any. It's another piece in the game. I centralized my work. I decided the king's work instead of the queen because I anticipated the queen's work being needed on the queen's side. He still put his knight on the side. There would have been no harm putting it to D2. Good. See, he is making me make a decision with the knight. I either move it, I either take it. This is something he probably should have done as soon as I move the knight there, is challenge that knight to get it out of the middle. Because this knight became a huge pain in the rear end for him. So the point of this was, if he takes pawn up, check, and then depending where he goes, determine what knight I was going to take. If he went to B2, pawn takes knight, check, and then I win the other knight, and I would win 2 knights. He took back. I took back, sorry. And then he moved his king. To be honest, at this point, swap the knights. Just swap the knight. Don't be afraid to retake. I mean, yes, he is behind on pieces. He's behind on material. But this knight is such a pain in the ass for him that this knight just needs to go. It has, for him, I would sacrifice my work, queen, bishop, knight, to get this knight off the board, because a knight in the center is potentially deadly. So he goes ahead and pushes the knight there. Again, this is why I would have suggested bishop g2, because this would have stopped this happening. I would have had to put my knight to b5 instead of having that position of that pawn. And in a sense, this is the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back. Now I broke the pawn in the back, the dragon teeth falls apart. It becomes 2 isolated pawns with another 2 isolated pawns with 2 isolated pawns. I mean, yes, I know technically they're not isolated because they're sitting right next to each other, but they're broken. There's a hole in the pawns line. And the dragon teeth or the stone wall that looked incredibly strong now looks incredibly weak just because of one pawn. So he comes ahead and pushes the pawn. I take, gives check. He takes the work, and I take the work. I'm already a work up, so that's why I exchanged. He goes ahead and take. I don't go for the check. I'm trying to stop him from coming. I'm trying to trap his king. I'm going for the win. He puts his knight there. Also, because he's protecting this pawn, because my rook and bishop is attacking that pawn, if you didn't notice. Now here comes that knight again. That was an extremely brave move. That was a good move. Most people wouldn't have pushed the pawn on, but it changed the variables. It actually changed the game up a little bit. Alternatively, he could have I mean, alternatively, he could have put knight to c1, so there was another piece defending it. But this was actually a good move. From what I worked out, this actually would have saved most people. Just because the attack is happening here instead of in front of his king. It throws the maths off, basically. Yes, there's maths to chess. So now it comes to a check. Pushes king forward. I don't necessarily, that may not have been a best move. I mean, he could have, because his king is in danger of becoming trapped. So why not just go back here? You know, there's security in numbers. You know, his white's position doesn't look as nearly as bad. And he has the potential of going to c1 or, you know, being protected by his pieces, not getting away from it. So he comes here. And I push the pawn forward. Again, he's now seeing why this knight is dangerous, because now there's nothing that's going to be able to stop this pawn from getting home. He could take, but bishop would take. Given check and winning the queen, because it's supported by the rook. You know, he's in trouble. To be honest, I was thinking about getting the pawn home, promoting it to a rook, and checkmate him in the corner. He goes in and pushes the pawn. I don't know if that was a good move or that was... Personally, if I was white, I would have done this, which is what I did a move later, but this bishop is sitting out in the... I don't know. I don't particularly like this pawn move, but it's not a bad one. I can ignore that because this is a bigger threat to black than his pawn taking pawn. Now he puts the knight there. So it's the same thing that I would have done, except as a move later. So perhaps I could have... no, I can't. I was thinking of putting the knight there now, but I can't because the pawn's there. So I go ahead and put the knight here. And now white's in trouble. If they aren't already, this is where your alarm bells need to be going off. Like, emergency. We got a knight under threat. That pawn will become a queen and give check. This knight is now trapped the king. The king can't come forward because the rook is blocking the rank and file, and the knight is blocking the two squares that the king can go to. And if this knight wasn't here, bishop to d7 would be check and mate. But it is there, so he goes ahead and puts the bishop there to attack the knight. But as you can see, that doesn't do anything. The bishop can still go ahead with the plan. Check. And this is where the game ended, because I was kind of premature and said again, because thinking that it was over next move, and it wasn't. Also, I didn't want. I absolutely refused to win like this because it's not fair to the opponent. Also, because he deserved the reward. He actually, his game actually improved, made me think. And for the first 10-15 moves, he withstood me. He stood up to me. I couldn't attack. I could only mess around with my position, making it better, like making improvement moves. There weren't moves that were progressing with my plan, just making my position better until he made the opening for me. But it was a lot stronger. His game was a lot better, and it's a lot stronger. As he said to me that he adapted to who he was playing against. As soon as he said that, I understand instantly that he knows how to master chess now. You have to adapt yourself to the person that you're playing against, as well as the position on the board. So you have to understand the moves of chess and the psychology of chess, but the way that you master chess is by being able to beat the person, and he's starting to understand that. And this game is demonstrating that. And this is the point where I refuse to. This is the point where I refuse to keep going on, because it becomes unfair to him, and I refuse to win like that. So I offered him the draw as a reward, and he took it. So it looks like mate, because the king can't go anywhere. The only move, the reason why I thought it was mate, because knight goes here, bishop takes. If king comes here, bishop here, the king could always go back. But the line of thinking I was following is, if king comes here, queen there, check. If queen here, pawn here, knight, check. And then king here, and then knight here. I thought that was checkmate, but of course he can go there. I mean, it's virtually over, and he can. Next move is this, and it's game over. It's not checkmate, but he's lost. Because if he takes the rook with the queen, it's checkmate. If he comes here, then it's check, and he's lost the queen, and it's just game over. And he can take the knight. But and then it's checkmate next move. There's a lot of ifs and possibilities. You know, that was one line of thinking. Even if he went here, it still would have gone here, check. If he came here, check. If queen takes, check. King can't come here or here. If queen comes in front of the king, it's game over. So knight has to come here, or the queen could come here, but I would just exchange. Yeah, so I could do this. No, I can't, because rook there would lose the queen because it's supported by the knight. So that's why this move would have lost as well. So if queen here, check, king can't take, king can't move, queen has to take, that leads to checkmate. So if king comes here, I go check. King comes here. Oh, I can't because if it's the check. King does go back. I could copy and keep doing the same thing. That doesn't lead to. It's game over because he would lose the queen. I mean, he can't allow me to go a whole queen up. So no matter what he did, he was going to lose. But I refuse to win like that. I just... And that's where the actual game ended, because I offered the draw. So it's extremely well done by him. Although some of you may not understand this, but compare this game to the other games that he's played against me. This is a lot better compared to where he started. This is someone that could actually beat someone. Like, I told him that he can go play against other people now, and he stands a good chance of winning now. He's got an opening. He needs to develop his pieces better. Get the knights in the center of the board. Do not put them on the side. Get the bishops out, get the knights out. Decide if you're going to castle or not. If not, attack and hammer it home. Don't be in a rush to get the king out in the center, because I'm going to do that anyway for you. But this is a lot better. It's a good step in the right direction. It shows you that he's adapted to my style. He's coming at me. He's not sitting at home. He realizes that if he's going to win, if he wants to win, he has to come at me. He's not going to win by staying at home, so to speak. So this is a great game to look at. It's I hope you learned something from it. Another perfect example of why knights in the center are extremely dangerous, because it's that same knight again. This knight is already moved like how many times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 moves for the entire game. It stayed in the center for how long? It took the pawn when it was unprotected. And look how much trouble this one knight has done. It's never attacked anything except a couple of pawns, but it's attacking the squares with no pieces on. So, if anything, I would say that this game shows and demonstrates the importance of guarding and protecting squares equally with the squares with pieces on. Those squares that you leave behind are just as dangerous. If you leave them unguarded, you risk your own life at your own peril. Alright, so that's it. I'll go ahead and upload this. See you next time.